Hey, thanks for tuning in. We got a great show for you tonight. We got Nick Christopher's on. Nick's an author out of New York. We know that he wrote a great book with John Alite, Prison Rules. Mob Ties is another great book he wrote. And he's got 4 books out there right now. He's doing great. So we got him on the show tonight. We're going to talk about these books. We'll talk about his experiences living in New York and growing up around these wise guys. It is interesting, this. So stay tuned. We'll be right back with Nick. Thank you. I don't know if Joe Barboza was walking down in Little Italy, down there in New York, if he get clipped the way things are today. I don't know, you know.
No, I mean, we both kind of probably know already that, the life now has changed dramatically. They made it, but after John Sr. went away, everything stayed. They just changed the whole face of the life, pretty much. You don't hear about guys getting whacked anymore.
No, you don't.
Hasn't happened in years. The only place it happens is in Canada. They're still whacking each other up there.
Oh, I know. This is the 2 families up there still, right?
Yeah, Rizzuto and Montagna, I think it is.
Yeah.
Even when Rizzuto was dead, but his crew was still there.
Yeah.
But those are Sicilians whacking each other like crazy.
Oh, I know. They still bring that shit from the old country.
Yes.
We don't have that no more.
No, not over here. No, not anymore.
No, that's all dead now,
I mean, in your opinion, do you think Boston still has a pulse or no?
Well, I got to be honest with you. I've been back for 3 years, and I'm really not sure who the boss of the Patriarca family is. It could be one of 3 guys that I know that would probably take the helm. I think today you got to be a fool to take the helm. When I did it in the 90s, I got jammed up. I don't think that they're going to be like you said. They're not going to be out there anymore. When I was a boss up here, I was flamboyant. This is how we came up. I was on the street every day. I had my crew around me every day. They knew who I was. Every law enforcement agency wanted me. Now today, you got to be quiet about it. There is La Cosa Nostra still in Boston. My old crew from Philadelphia, a lot of the guys that I made, they're still up here. Philly's still up in Boston. The Patriarchas are here. They're trying to put themselves back together. It's never going to be like it was in the 90s, in the 80s and the 90s when I came up. But yeah, they're still here. And like I said, the boss, I have no idea. I really don't know who the boss is up here, but there is one, but I don't know who he is.
Yeah. Well, so you're originally from the Boston area. So I was curious to ask your thoughts on the Whitey case, on the Whitey situation, when that whole thing went down.
Well, years ago, and I was saying this before, they were calling Whitey a rat. Whitey himself was with the Italians. We know that, He had a crew out in South Boston. He stretched out into Somerville and a few other areas. Whitey, Stevie FLEMMI, they made a ton of money. There were a bunch of bad guys. But Whitey is so big because of what happened with Connolly with the FBI. Yeah. That's what put him on the map. He was just a boss in the neighborhood. He was an Irish boss. I ain't taking nothing away from him. Said it before. But being Italian, us guys in the North, we didn't even care about him. He had no say. There was nothing he could do, He's more my father's generation. I never met Whitey myself. I met Stevie. I never met Whitey. I met Stevie in prison, matter of fact. But I never met Whitey, and I never wanted to have any dealings with him. Because I remember what the guys used to tell me about him. They didn't trust him, No,
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, the guy who whacked him in prison is another Greek guy from For,
from Springfield. Yeah,
right, Fortios.
the two brothers that whacked out Bruno were with Anthony Aralotta.
Right.
Yeah, they were with Anthony. Anthony's a very dear friend of mine, you know. And yeah, Al got whacked Bruno when I was in prison. I didn't really like Al. Al didn't like me. He felt that I had a crew down in Vernon. I was setting up a crew in Springfield. You know, Al really didn't want me around, but there was really nothing he could do about it, you know. But I was creeping in down there a little. And Anthony Aralotta, and then he became a good friend of mine, you know. Really good person, Anthony.
Yeah, the two brothers were under Anthony.
Yeah, they were under Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah, Ty and Freddie.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're in my book too. I speak about them as well, about what they've done and what Freddie did recently with Whitey. I'm not saying it was a, some people say it was a cowardly thing he did, taking Whitey out like that. You know, but I kind of understood why he did it. You know, because Freddie just never likes, he doesn't like rats. He doesn't like these, that guy's like hardcore. And
well, you know, he did it out of frustration. He had a chance to get at somebody. He's been there. He's doing life, isn't he, Freddie?
yeah.
You know, and you know, he had a shot to get at somebody that was a rat, a famous rat, and he took his opportunity. You know, it's sad though, you know, that guy died, you know, a miserable death. But then again, you know, Whitey was Whitey. You know, if he got hit by a bus, got run over, I could care less about him. You know what I'm saying, Nick?
Yeah, well, I never really, well, Whitey was a guy that, I mean, he was a gangster, that's for sure.
Oh, he was. I'm not taking that away, but his attack on the Italians, boy, what he did, I mean, you know, how could you have empathy for this person? I can't.
Women.
Oh, no, I agree,
He
definitely.
killed women, he was a rapist, and I heard he was half a fag, too. I mean, all these things together, you know, he wasn't a good person.
Oh, no, not at all, that's for sure. You know, but I mean, I found that to be an interesting subject. Because the reason why I'm bringing it up, because there's another guy that I think I told you on the phone about. My friend Nicky. My friend Nicky doing life. He's from the Philly crew. He was under John Stanford.
Oh, he was under Stanford, okay.
He was back with Stanford back in the day. And he's doing a life bid for a crime he didn't commit. And the reason I know people would say to me, everybody says that. When they go to jail, oh, I didn't do it. You know, I'm innocent. Like every guy that goes to prison. You know, but this guy for real is, I was skeptical in first because I knew who Nicky was. Nicky was a street soldier under Stanford. He did a lot of bad things. But this specific thing, he definitely didn't do. It's a crazy story. And I've been trying to help him to find a way to get an attorney to take his case, to try to get him out. Because the real guy that murdered this one specific person in a nightclub is still walking the streets. And the reason why he's walking the streets, it's coming back to what the Whitey situation I spoke to earlier, similar situation. This guy is a CI. He's a confidential informant. And the feds know that he's guilty of this specific crime, but without shedding light on themselves, making him look bad, because you guys, you know, when you're a CI, you're not supposed to do anything bad.
Right, that's right.
But this guy whacked somebody in a club, and they had Nicky take the fall for it. And this guy's he's been in prison over 20 years now for something he didn't do.
Wow, that's sad. That's sad.
Yeah.
You know, like I told you on the phone, the similar thing up here, what Barboza did with Peter Lamoldi, and, you know, falsely accused them. You know, it's kind of like the same thing, and your friend is standing up. You know, when this other guy's out on the street is a CI, that's terrible. It's terrible sometimes what the feds do. You know, it is. And the information they have, and even if they know these guys are innocent, well, you know what? Screw him. He killed another person, so he'll pay for it with this one.
Right.
You know, yeah, that's how they think. This is how they think. It's sad. you
Yeah,
know.
same thing story with, I'm sure you know his name. You know, the old man, Sonny in New York, who passed away about 2 years ago. Michael's father, Sonny Francisco.
Yeah, yeah. Mike Francese's father, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Now, Sonny, I know him. I met Sonny once or twice, and I went to his funeral. That was 2 years ago. May he rest in peace. Similar situation, like when Sonny got pinched in back in the '60s for a bank robbery that he didn't have nothing to do with it. Remember, he did like 30 years for something for a bank robbery. He had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I know. I heard that story. Yeah.
Yeah, but the most messed up thing about that story is the the guy, his name is John Cordero, the guy who actually did the bank robbery with his crew. His girlfriend went to the authorities and said that Sonny had nothing to do with this. My ex-boyfriend did. But they didn't want to, whatever she said, it didn't even matter.
No.
It was irrelevant. They didn't bother even bringing that up to even let Sonny out. But they knew, they probably thought, oh, if we let Sonny out, he's going to sue us for God knows what.
Yeah.
Probably.
And plus, they know Sonny is a boss. He's going to go right back on the street. They don't want that either. See, the mentality is, and I know from my case and some other people, now listen, I'm a Boston guy cop. I'm a small fry compared to a lot of these guys that we talk about. But still with me, to get me, they entrapped me and they didn't care how they got me, you know? And the government knows to a point that if the jury and the people know your past and who you are, more or less, they're going to get a conviction. Am I right or wrong?
Well, that's prejudice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. But the feds will use that. They don't care if you didn't kill that guy. We think you killed that guy. All right, you didn't rob that bank, but we know you did this.
Or that one.
No, this is what they do. This is what they do. You know, it's weird because on my case, I went to trial twice for entrapment, lost twice. Joey Merlino, they let him off of the entrapment. He beat it. You know, me and Joe were in the case together. I was a cop in the Philly family, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just crazy the way things went down and how things happened with me. And seeing what they did with me, I can understand what they did with Sonny and these other guys and your friend that's sitting in jail right now. You know, and it's terrible.
Well,
I believe if you commit a crime and you get caught for it, they got you legitimately, that's a different story. But when they start using all these other tactics, I don't think the government should be allowed to do that.
it's funny you say that because that's one of Sonny's quotes, the old man's quote.
Yeah.
He says it is one of his quotes. He says, he told the feds this specifically. He said, at least arrest me, pinch me for something I did, something I didn't, not for something I didn't do.
Exactly.
I don't care. I'll do the time. Just get me for what I did.
Exactly.
Which makes sense. And it brings me to another story with this other guy who's a good friend of mine. I know the whole family. He was the head of the Greek crew here in Queens, in New York. Spiro, his name is. Spiro Valenzas. And he's also doing a life bit. Also for something he didn't do. He was accused of, he was first pinched for gambling, which he would have been gladly to do the time. No problem. Because he told me this when I went to see him in Allenwood. But he also got pinched for murder. For murdering a guy that he only told, because he was under the Lucchese flag at the time.
Yeah.
And he told the Lucchese's, I got an issue with this guy who's always trying to take over my gambling operations that I'm paying you for your protection. You know how it is. That's the protocol.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So so they said to him, it was Gas Pipe at the time. Gas Pipe and Musso was boss. And he said, okay, who are you kicking up to? He said, Fat Pete Ciotto. And he goes, let Pete take care of it. So Spiro told Pete what the issue was. Now, Spiro never really didn't tell Pete, oh, I want you to go whack the guy. He didn't tell him that. He said, listen, I got a problem. Can you help me out with it? So the feds took it that, can you help me out with it, means go whack the guy.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And then Fat Pete became a government witness.
Yeah,
In fact, he testified in court that Spiro wanted this guy whacked, which is not true. Pete, the guy who sent two guys down there to kill the guy.
listen, just that little twist. See that little twist?
Yeah,
And Sparrow's doing a life sentence.
yeah, exactly.
This is what they do. This is, and if they had that on tape, which I know they did, but if they did, that tape would have disappeared.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, well, this is what they do. This is what they do. This is what they're about. You know, anything to get us off the street, this is what they do. Now, I got no beef with the federal government, the marshals, anything. You know, I'm a murderer. I got out of prison. They did good for me. So, you know, I got no beef with them. But still, I mean, there's a lot of people getting jammed up that shouldn't be. Yet for the crime they committed, not for the crime that you put them in.
Yeah, but like I said, if they want you bad enough, they'll find a way.
They're gonna do it.
Yeah, just like John Sr. When they wanted him, well, then again, Sammy helped them a lot. If it wasn't for Sammy, probably John would have never went away.
Well, yeah, he might have had a shot to get out of it. Now, John Gotti Sr. was flamboyant. This is what I'm talking about. He was flamboyant. He's out on the street. He wants all his couples in front of him. He wants the whole world to know that he's John Gotti and, you know, he's running the Gambino family. That's the problem right there. That was John's problem, you know? Don't get me wrong. He would always had heat because anybody knows he was sitting there, any law enforcement, you know, but when you keep throwing it in their face and in their face, and that's it. We're going to get this guy by any means, you know, and that's what they did with John. It's sad. Died in prison, throat cancer.
Yep.
Died miserable, the guy. Sad.
Yeah.
You know? But listen, I'm not saying himself. I don't know personally if John even ever killed anybody himself. I'm sure he did.
I don't think so.
I don't think he did, but he had a lot of guys whacked, you know?
Oh, yeah, that he did.
He had no problem giving that order.
No, not
I
at
mean,
all.
John was still, he was a tough guy. He was a man's man, that guy. I mean, don't get me wrong, you know?
Sure.
But, you know, even with me at the end, it was easy for me to say, you got to go whack this guy. It gets easier and easier to do, you know, especially up there with the Gambinos. They had a lot of shooters.